been a while.
Hey, Barry. What's the last couple of days look like for you guys?
Been real good. Been real proud of the way we practiced. Had a lot of energy last 2 days. I think the players have been very focused on improving. I think we've gotten better. It's been a good 2 days.
What do you think about the way CJ's played so far this year?
Played good the other night. Best he played. It's the best he's played in a while, just from top to bottom. Wasn't perfect by any means. But as far as just the week of preparation and the way he stayed engaged during the game and competed from top to bottom, that was his best game. We need more of that this coming week.
About Hudson, I think a lot of people expected him to play. I know he had the concussion in camp. Can we see him any this year?
Yeah, sure, certainly you could. I mean, that's kind of been the plan, is we just kind of been preparing him each week as part of the game plan. You know, we're probably the most experienced position group, you know, on the football team, if maybe not the most, but one of the most experienced groups. And we've got some guys that played in games and are doing a good job. And, you know, so we just kind of weighed the fact that, you know, that he got stepped behind a little early. That was a legitimate setback. I mean, that was a significant setback for him and his development when you miss, I don't know how many days it was, but, you know, basically a week of fall camp. And then we started turning the page pretty quickly to getting ready for the first game. But our emphasis and goal with him has been to continue to prepare him to play, because we think that with his skill set that he certainly could lend itself, especially with the 4-game rule, and when we might need him down the stretch. We didn't want to use him in a situation that would kind of be I don't want to say meaningless, or, you know, we hadn't had a lot of those opportunities, you know, obviously the way the games have unfolded, but we don't want to put him in there for, you know, just a play here, a play there, a kickoff return. We want to save that for down the stretch in case we need that for depth for him to help us in the game.
What's the offensive focus been like this week? I know red zone probably has been something y'all are focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's something we emphasize all the time, is we want to score touchdowns and not field goals. And you know, we just got to collectively, from top to bottom, all 11 guys, we just got to execute better when we get down in that tight red zone, which is hard. I mean, that's, you know, that's the thing in this league. The teams are, you know, the coordinators in this league, they're experienced. They understand how to clamp down in the red zone and play good red zone defense. And obviously you got to combat that with being, you know, executing across the board. And, you know, if you don't have all 11 doing it right, then it can be problematic. But, yeah, that's an emphasis for us. Is, you know, we moved the ball pretty well the other day, but we got to finish with touchdowns, not field goals. And that's the A&M game. That's the Portland State game. That's any game you play. If you take advantage of those opportunities, you know, that's it's going to help your point total, which is obviously going to help the result.
CJ's obviously a really good pass catcher and everything. How do you evaluate his blocking?
Yeah, I mean, that's an area that I think anybody that, you know, that follows us or knows us or watches us, that's an area that, you know, he's you know, behind in as far as compared to his, you know, receiving ability and playmaking ability and run after the catch ability. But he has shown flashes of being better in that regard. And, you know, really, I've said, you guys have heard me, you have all heard me say this before, that blocking is usually a combination of ability and want to. And he has the ability to. And when he displays the want to, he usually can sustain his block and hold his own in our league. And he did a much better job of that the other night. And that's our standard that we expect from him moving forward, that he'll continue to be like that. And I have no reason to believe that he won't.
You came down to the field. What do you think of the vantage point down there?
Well, yeah, we weighed that a little bit, and we thought just, you know, that was just for me to be able to be engaged with my players. And then obviously from a special teams perspective, to be able to be there and more involved and be able to communicate with Daniel, just him and I, on a, you know, easier basis without having to say, hey, go to 2 or go, you know, whatever, for us to be able to just have face-to-face communication and be there for the special teams. But more importantly, probably just for my position group. I mean, they were kind of a man without a home, so to speak, down there. Now, part of the reason we initially tried to do that was because of the experience and you know, maturity that we have there. But I think it just worked out better for me to be with them, and I think that's something we'll probably stick with moving forward.
Be interested to know what you were saying in the headphones when CJ caught the first down pass against Colorado State and then started going through all the tacklers.
It's been a while since we talked, hasn't it, Tom? Yeah. That seems like a month ago. Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of one of those head-shaking deals that, honestly, it didn't surprise me. I mean, it was a phenomenal play. But, I mean, anybody that's been following him, I mean, I started watching him when he was a sophomore at Fayetteville High School or whatever, and he just had the knack for doing that. You know, he's just a load to tackle, and he just has a, you know, just something innate in him. I wish to say, I think I joked with some of the people. I think I joked with them saying, that drill we did really paid off. I don't think there's many drills for simulating that many people trying to tackle you and you're running through it. But, that's something that he's always brought to the table, and we certainly need that from him down the stretch here.
How have you felt about kicking and punting in that game?
Well, I think we've improved there. I think we're really pleased with Connor and the type of year he's off to. And, I think we'd all he'd like to have that one back the other night. But when you get over 50 yards, it's not necessarily automatic, but he's more than capable of making that. He knows that. But he's really been consistent for us. And, man, I was so proud, and we all were, so proud of the way he bounced back. It's a tough way to start a game, but he didn't even flinch. I mean, he just came back and he made another field goal later in the game, and his kickoffs have been really improved. I mean, he's really starting to put that ball deeper, which is a big weapon for us, from a coverage standpoint. And so we've really been pleased with that. Sam has the good thing about Sam is Sam's misses, have still had hang. And he doesn't outkick his coverage, and that's a good thing. You hear coaches talk about that a lot or whatever, but one of the things he understands is, the importance of hang and distance combined, and he's very, consistent in that regard. But we got to be better there. We need more yards, more hang. He hit one really good one the other day. He has a really good knack for kicking the pin punt situation that hasn't shown up in a while. We hadn't had the chance to do that. But as far as where we're at, are we pleased? Yeah, I think so. I think Daniel's done. Let me back up and say, I just think that those guys have, just really come into their own. Connor, senior year, maturity, just consistency. I think Daniel, from a schematic standpoint, with kind of channeling through me and the communications we've had, has really been a great asset for us, kind of behind the scenes, so to speak, and has just really been a big asset for us.
I think you and CJ walked off the field side by side on Saturday, and you kind of had your arm around his collar. What was kind of the message there after maybe a tough moment?
Yeah, that's really, and I don't mean that to be rude, but that was just kind of between him and I, and just a time for a coach that's been with a guy for 5 years after a tough moment, who played his heart out, just trying to encourage him, get him off the field. Tough loss, and obviously seniors have a tendency to take those more difficult, more personal than others, because they know it's their last chance that they were going to be in that stadium. So I was just trying to encourage him, but for the most part, it was just between him and I. I hope you don't take that the wrong way.
I feel like y'all kind of.
Secrets don't make friends, they say, but that's
I feel like y'all kind of, at first you maybe split reps a little bit more, but now you're kind of giving CJ more of the time. Is that just because you got to keep your best players on?
Well, I mean, honestly, Nikki, going into the game, the plan was to rotate a little bit more than we did, but when a guy's got the hot hand, and he did. He had an extremely hot hand, and we just kind of let that ride out. But really, he's on the threshold of playing a little too few snaps. It's getting up there quite a bit. He's really kind of held up pretty well as far as conditioning, and just be able to run in the fourth quarter. I mean, he looked fresh, when he was making those catches for us. And that's something that we've certainly set back and looked at and evaluated, because I think we have some other guys. I know we do. We have other guys that are capable to play winning football for us, and they've shown that at times during the year, and they've practiced really hard, and we'd like for them to continue to get opportunities like that. We really kind of emphasized 11 personnel, the other night. We didn't do a lot of 2 tight end groupings, just because that was kind of part of the plan, and the way we were spreading them out and trying to get on the perimeter a little bit. It lended itself to being a little bit more 1 tight end driven, so that was part of the challenge as well, but it was really more to do with the hot hand. And I think we all could recognize that. I mean, I think if I'd have taken him out, my wife would have been able to recognize, you just took the guy out that had a hot hand, and so no slight on my wife. Sorry, Janelle, don't take it that way, but she would have been able to recognize that as well.
Has it been hard with the kind of rotating door at the punt returner and kick returner?
Yeah, I think it's been a challenge. Yeah, sure, with injuries, it's been a challenge, but I've been proud of the way that I think Coach Stepp, Justin, handles the returners and does a fantastic job with them. And we would spend some significant time with those guys. It helps that the majority of those guys are in his room anyway. But, yeah, it's presented some challenges. And, like last week, from a kickoff perspective, kickoff return, we had TJ in there for the first time. And but as deep as those kicks were going, we could have put anybody in there, and it wasn't going to matter. Sometimes that's the way it works out. But it has been a challenge, but obviously, Traylon and Davion both, when they're in their seats, are both have proven that they are legitimate weapons in this conference. And we see what Traylon has brought to the table is in this return game, and that's a weapon for us that we're going to continue to use, and hopefully we get Davion back. But if it's not Davion, TJ has the ability to do those same things, and so we just got to continue to try to find ways to change the game in a positive manner from a special teams perspective. That's our charge, and we haven't done that every game, but we've had moments where we've been able to do that, and that's going to be a big task for us going to Kentucky.
Does CJ like playing down in Dallas, I guess?
I think so. I think they all do. I mean, they all. Who doesn't? I mean, I think the coaches like coaching there, the players like playing, the fans like going, the reporters like covering, the cheerleaders like cheering. I mean, it's a great environment, and I think that's part of the reason that we typically, play so well. And we got to capture that aura and that, that feel and that vibe and take it on the road with us and play with that same urgency and enthusiasm and intensity. If we do those things, I think, I think that'll be, we know that would be a really good thing, and we need to be able to do that. But yeah, I think he likes playing in there. Shoot, I feel like I could get back out there a little bit, maybe, in the pregame. Yeah, he does.
Chase has a little bit more than half the season left to play. So what have you seen from him, and how's he been handling not maybe getting
sure. That's a good question. You've got some good questions today. That's good. Not that you don't normally have them. Man, my words get me in trouble, okay, and the way I phrase those. But, it's an interesting point because we really thought what we saw in fall camp in the spring with the move was the absolute right move for him and our football team. And really through spring and fall camp, he really flashed. And we were really on a consistent basis, not just flash in the pan, but like he was really starting to show up. And then we go to the first game, CJ's out. He gets an opportunity to kind of him and Grayson carry the load. He got off to a slow start. He separated his shoulder. I don't even know if y'all know that. I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell people that. I don't know. But he had a little shoulder injury. So then that set him back. And then he had a personal matter that week that was positive that he had to step away. So the Ole Miss game, he wasn't ready. And then we go to Colorado State and made a nice play for us. That's a really nice play early in the game. Made a nice catch and run after the catch for a touchdown, and then CJ came back and kind of established himself. And so the long answer to the short question is that I really believe this last half of the season we'll see the guy that we saw during fall camp. We'll see the guy we saw during spring practice. I think we'll see a guy that is playing the right position, that brings some really good things to the table. And I'm excited about him down the stretch. I'm excited about Grayson too, but I think Chase could break out down the stretch for us. I really do.
Hey, with Hudson, he was such a heralded player.